what happened with the Associated Press, Babyface and Chappell Roan at the 2025 Grammys that everybody is talking about. I think this is just a great example of an interview disaster, a red carpet faux pas. But I want to get into it and give you a little bit of behind the scenes, what it's like working a red carpet, what goes on with all the craziness, and why I think, unfortunately, what happened really went down. Let's get into it. So this all took place at the Grammy Awards red carpet. This is a few hours leading into the show when celebrities and people are walking the red carpet and interviewers are asking them for a soundbite, for a quote. So this is what happened.
We're seeing an R&B where we're seeing more of a fusion. We're seeing people blend the genre with pop, blend the genre with hip hop and rock as well.
Yes, I think it's interesting.
Chappell.
You guys want to do that? Go do that.
So sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Hello, how's it going, Chappell? Hello.
So as you can see, the AP, or the Associated Press, they were interviewing Kenny Babyface Edmonds. And Babyface, iconic songwriter, producer, personally my favorite songwriter of all time. I mean, he's worked with every single heavy hitter from Boyz II Men to Toni Braxton, Madonna. I mean, if you want like that tender love, that kind of energy, you go to Babyface and he will just give you a timeless classic. So as you can see, he's doing the interview, it's going fine, and then all of a sudden you see Chappell Roan walking behind him. For those of you who don't know, Chappell Roan was one of the big buzzy names of the night, a breakout pop star who's been everywhere this past year. She not only was nominated for, but she won the Best New Artist Award, which is a very prestigious award, one of the most of the night. And you can see the interviewers sort of struggling because they want to finish this Babyface interview so they can talk to Chappell. Unfortunately, from the looks of it outside looking in, they look like they cut this legend off and kind of almost push him out of the way to get to Chappell Roan. He ends up, feeling kind of snubbed, but walking away and keeping it very professional. This goes crazy viral on social media. I would say this was probably one of the most viral red carpet moments of the night. And, a lot of people were understandably angry. They felt like somebody like Babyface, who's a legend, who's an icon, who's more than earned his place on that carpet, is essentially being shoved aside for somebody who's brand new. And the optics appeared that the interviewers didn't know who he was. They didn't understand his legacy and his contribution to music. Now, look, behind the scenes, I don't know who these interviewers are. I'm going to assume they had like the best of intentions. But when I was watching this, all this made me think about is what a disaster red carpets are. So let me give you some backstory. In my time as a music journalist, red carpets are probably one of the things I hate the most. There's like a handful of things you hate as a music journalist. Transcribing interviews, especially interviews where you can't really, follow what the artist is saying or the audio's bad. So that might be number one. Then red carpets. And then probably after that, doing like listicles. Like there's a few things that you just hate doing as a journalist. And red carpets are one of them. From the outside looking in, it looks so glamorous. People are dressed up. They get to take selfies on the red carpet and talk to celebrities. But in reality, red carpets are just like a zoo. It's like a feeding frenzy, if you will. So this is how they usually run with most red carpets. You go to the carpet and they give you like a stack. Like basically, these are all the celebrities that we think are going to walk the carpet. It's usually a picture of the person. It might be like, a couple of bullet points about them. And if you can imagine, for the Grammys, it's a very thick list of who could potentially be on the carpet. Of those, not everyone's going to walk and not everyone's going to stop and talk to you. And that brings up a really big point. The red carpet is very long, and based upon your outlet, that determines whether you get prime real estate or not. I know when I was covering carpets, the few that I've done, number one was television. So TV networks, CBS, ABC, NBC, they were at the top. So they got the best sort of real estate. After that was somebody like an E! Entertainment. When MTV was doing MTV News, they would oftentimes get some good real estate as well. But the long and the short of it, if you're not there with a television camera, you're already bumped down to tier 2. With the AP, just given the fact that it is a global organization, and I know a lot of other outlets do license their content, they probably got a pretty good spot. I mean, it looks like they sent at least 2 journalists. They had a live stream going. So I'm sure they got like some pretty prime real estate. But even still, based upon where you're situated, you might be sort of smushed among people. I remember being at a red carpet once and I was just surrounded by photographers. So you've got big guys with big cameras basically pushing you out the way to get the picture of the celebrity or a video clip. And here you are with your little recorder trying to ask 1 or 2 questions. And it really is chaotic. On top of that, there really is no guarantee that you're going to get an interview. So let's think about it from the Associated Press's perspective. You come to the Grammys and you have all these people walking the carpet. And I don't know if you noticed, in addition to like the usual suspects, right? Like singers and rappers and producers, songwriters, I actually saw quite a bit of influencers, streamers, like reality stars. So those kind of people are also being invited as well. So you have to figure out, okay, of course the musicians are my top priority, but maybe you do want to get a soundbite from some of these other individuals as well. And, when you're going in, there's a handful of people that are on the priority list. So who would it have been at the Grammys? Beyonce for sure. I don't think she walked the carpet. Taylor Swift, who did walk the carpet, but I didn't see her giving any interviews. I kind of saw her walking by and sort of giving the pageant wave. Kendrick Lamar didn't walk the carpet. Sabrina Carpenter, again, Chappell Roan. Like there's a handful of people, Billie Eilish, like people who are nominated a lot and you want to get an interview with them. So just imagine you've been standing there, you're trying to get interviews. If anything, these are like 5-second interviews. You get maybe a few lines from the person. And all of a sudden you see Chappell Roan walking by. Now, I don't know if the journalists themselves saw her first and then decided to try to, motion her over. They may have also had a producer either in their ear, like inside an earpiece, or next to them kind of prodding them like, hey, look, she's on our priority list. We need to talk to her. So it's kind of this perfect storm of just a chaotic space to be in. You've got these like overworked, underpaid journalists. I mean, I would be shocked if either of those young women were paid more than a couple $100s for the whole night. And sometimes if you're on staff, you don't even get paid extra to do a red carpet. It's considered like a perk of the job. So just imagine you've been standing there for hours. Most likely you're standing there in high heels and very uncomfortable clothing, something that women have to experience on the red carpet more than men, interestingly enough. And you're just sitting here asking people questions, trying to get a quick quote. Most of the A-listers are walking by you. They're either not doing any press or they're going to go straight to like a very big TV network to do a sit down. And it really is all of that going on. And then on top of that, we're just in an era that I think your average fan, unfortunately, they're not going to value a valuable conversation with an icon like Babyface. I made a joke on Twitter. If anything, these young artists should be pushing people out the way to get to Babyface. Like, Kenny, please give me a classic record. Give me a timeless record, because that's something you can do that we desperately need. Like, I was joking about that. But in reality, let's be totally honest. What would be the headline today? That the AP has an in-depth, great conversation with this icon, this legend, or that the AP got a great little soundbite from the Best New Artist winner. And if you watch the Grammys, Chappell went on to talk about the need for things like healthcare and financial resources for artists, like all important stuff. But you can also pull from those quotes and make like a very splashy headline. And it just kind of goes back to something we talk about a lot on this channel. If you want to see more in-depth content, in-depth conversations that are focusing on music and art and not just clickbait, really curate what you're consuming. Because here's the problem. The AP went viral for all the wrong reasons. And they actually did showcase an apology, and I'll put it up on the screen so you can read it. It looks like they reached out to Babyface and his representatives and apologized. But I wonder, like, is their producer actually thinking we became the story? And all of a sudden, people were clicking on our live stream, our content that wouldn't have clicked on it otherwise. And I'm not saying that does happen, but there are a lot of editors and producers. Their mind is also thinking of every single click. And when you don't differentiate a good click from a bad click, sometimes you want the journalist to become the story or the reporter to become the story. Think about all those red carpet moments you remember where somebody does like a weird face or, someone says something that becomes a meme. That goes viral. How many in-depth, smart, intellectual conversations really go viral, right? Like that's not what the algorithm is promoting, and that's not what people sort of en masse are clicking on. So I think it's all of those factors kind of coming together. Like I said, I don't know the AP journalists, but I would like to think that they were doing the best they can with the resources at hand. And just the fact that it's a red carpet. Like a red carpet is not a place for great conversations. It's not a place for great interviews. I think it would have been nice had they just maybe handled it a bit differently. But in that moment, and again, we don't know if there was a producer in their ear or somebody sort of, prodding them to, hey, like wrap this up because we have Chappell that we have to talk to. And I don't think either of these journalists are at the stature where they get to make editorial decisions. If, for example, somebody like, someone like a Gayle King, if she's talking to somebody and someone walks by and she misses that interview, it's not a big deal. She can tell the producer, look, as a senior journalist, I made the decision to talk to this person. On top of that, she has a regular national platform that, okay, you know what? We didn't get Chappell on the carpet, but I'm going to do a sit down with her, an intimate one-on-one. That's not something that these journalists at the AP have that privilege. So I say all that to say, just kind of giving everyone some behind the scenes, what really happens on a red carpet. The optics in this case weren't great, but I'm not sure if the intention was to be disrespectful. I really think that it's, an environment where everything that can go wrong does go wrong. It's live. People are stressed out and tired and overworked, and it's just one of those things. So at the end of the day, Babyface will be fine. I mean, he's a consummate professional. And he also has more hits than like 99% of people on that red carpet combined. So he probably just went home and laughed and rolled around in a bed of money, which he deserves. But I think he handled it with a lot of aplomb. He handled it like just a mature OG that he is. And, insofar as the younger journalists, I think they learned something. And, hopefully fans aren't using this as a reason to troll people or bully them, because being in that position, it's not great. And you really are doing the best you can with what's at hand. So that's just my 2 cents on what happened with the AP interview. Babyface, Chappell Roan. I didn't think I would say all of those words like in one sentence, but there you have it. But I would love to know your thoughts. I mean, did you watch what happened during the interview? What was your initial reaction? And now that you've seen this video and I've given you some context on what happens behind the scenes from the journalist perspective, does that change your mind at all? I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments.